The gays will say to us, oh, I'm just gay, I was just born that way, that's it. But when you look closely at it, there are 4 phases to the development of a gay identity. The first one is the relationship with the mother, and that's in early infancy. The earlier model of reparative therapy did not include phase 1. The early model of reparative therapy started phase 2. We started with the relationship with the father, and that's how many of the ministries see it. The boy reaches out to the father is distant, detached, uninvolved, the boy withdraws, and that is the beginning of homosexuality, or the beginning of the conflict that leads to the homosexual condition. We were consulting with Alan Shore. If anybody does a Google search on Alan Shore, the man is absolutely brilliant. And he is self-identified as a neurobiological psychoanalyst. In other words, he has a theory of psychoanalysis, and he looks at how it affects the brain, how psychological functions affect the neurobiology. And he has written some great textbooks. The American Psychological Association every year has a 5-day conference. They choose one speaker for the main presentation. And so Alan Shore was one of those. And Alan Shore we've been working with, and we go and we sit with him, and my entire staff asks him questions. He was very supportive. And I gave him the model of what we were doing, a reparative therapy 1, and I was kind of intimidated by him because he's not a man that's very warm and fuzzy. So I'm presenting to him, and I'm telling him about how the boy reaches out to leaves the mother and reaches out to the father, and he's doing this, he's going. So I keep going, I'm going. I figure I'm paying $200 an hour, so let me keep going. And he keeps going, no. So then I stop. He says, no, it goes back to the mother. In other words, he agreed everything with what we said, but he said it starts with the mother. The shutdown, in other words, when the boy encounters the father, and the father is distant, detached, unconnected, the boy dissociates. This is called the defense of dissociation, zoning out, tripping out. Have you ever looked at a person watching television during a commercial? They're zoned out. It's a primitive defense against being malattuned. And he said that the boy was conditioned to zone out, to disconnect from an uninvolved father, and it started with the mother. So let me take a minute what that means. Again, if you're a parent, we're not criticizing parents, we're just talking about the early factors that might contribute to this problem. The mother has a relationship with the son, or the child, but we're saying the son, where she wants to engage the boy. She wants to. So she intrudes herself upon the boy. When the child is an infant, the mother looms in, and they have video studies of this. The infant will look away, what they call eye diverting, moving away. But if the mother continues to intrude and try to stimulate and try to engage, when the kid is wanting to shut down, the child will then dissociate and just zone out. And so the mother will be acting, but he's just numb. So that's the defense of dissociation. The other pattern is a mother who disengages. So the child is engaged with the mother, and then the mother suddenly disengages. And they have video recordings of this. You have a camera on the mother's face, and you have a camera on the baby's face. And they pay these mothers to zone out when they get a cue off camera. So she's playing with the baby, and the baby is playing, they're animated, everything, and then she gets a cue to shut down. So suddenly she stops. And the child keeps going. And then the child notices that the mother is shut down, and the child overactivates as if to re-engage her. But if the mother holds it, the child panics and feels there's a loss. Suddenly mommy's face looks different. There's a disconnect. And the panic, if the panic continues, then the child goes down to dissociation. So you wonder what kind of a mother would be volunteering for such a subject, for a study like this, because it's very uncomfortable to see. So a mother who over-engages or under-engages, teaches the child, neurobiologically conditions him to dissociate. If there's a malattunement, if there's some kind of disconnect, I just shut down. So the boy is conditioned neurobiologically to shut down. So he reaches out to the father, and we know typically the fathers are disengaged. So he reaches out to the father, and if the father is disengaged, then he disengages. And that might explain why one father can have a heterosexual son and another is a homosexual son. Because the heterosexual son with the same kind of father will engage the father, will get him to wake up. And very often, the brothers of our clients were problem sons. They were troublemakers, they were rebellious. It's as if it was the opposite, okay? So when you look at a family background, our clients tended to be passive, over-passive, good little boys, and their brothers tended to be the bad little boys. They're both reacting to extremes to the same family dynamic. Okay, so that's what we're talking about here, phase one. So in early infancy, phase one, the relationship with the mother, there's an intense but insecure attachment to the mother, which many of our clients will tell you. I'm very close to my mother, but she drives me nuts if I talk to her for more than 5 minutes. You know what I mean? Because of the malattunement. Yes, dear, yes, dear, yes. A very small example. A guy I'm working with, he's talking to his mother, and he says, Mom, he lost about 5 pounds. He says, Mom, I'm on this great diet. I lost 5 pounds. Oh, that's wonderful. You should do my diet. It's like malattunement. And he goes, wait a minute, I'm just talking about I just shifted over. That's the kind of malattunement that drive our guys crazy. Now he moves on to the father, and we're talking about 1.5 to 3 years old, the gender identity phase that we talked about last night. And that is where he should make his masculine bonding. That's where he should find his gender identity. But typically the fathers are emotionally distant, attached. So he encounters the father, and the father is either hostile or disinterested. And hitting up against that, his defense is dissociation. So we're seeing both participating in that. Moving on to phase 3, peer relationships, 11 to 13, early adolescence. That's when peers become very, very important, and that's when consciously the men that you work with will tell you their most painful experiences with peers. Peer rejection, feeling cast out, feeling not part of the group, being made to feel inferior. That is where homosexuality kicks in. For the first time, your client will recall around 11 to 12 years old his first homosexual attraction. That's the reparative drive. I want to connect, but I don't know how to connect. So I connect in fantasy. I connect, and people say, why is it sexual? What makes it sexual? If they're cut off and they want to reconnect, how does it become a sexual problem? It's hard to understand because we don't have a full understanding of the nature of sexuality, but one of the functions of sexuality is to conquer, to gain, to master, to control. Sex is used as a way of improper, perverted sex is used as a way of controlling the other, grabbing, taking from the other. And we see this even in heterosexual relationships that are unhealthy. Phase 4 is the relationship with society, and that is from about 15, 16, 17 today. 15, 16, 17, the adoption of the gay identity. And the gay identity, as we've been saying, is different from homosexuality. Gay is a social, political identity. And so it seems to be like a shell, a rationale to justify and to cover up the homosexuality. Because if you know if someone's dealing with homosexuality but he's identified as gay, it's going to be more difficult for him to look honestly at the causes of his homosexual condition. As I said last night, to be gay is anti-intellectual because you never ask why. To be gay is phenomenological. Phenomenological means only studying what the phenomenon, what is, not why it is. Why is a true intellectual inquiry. So you never ask why you're gay. The first problem with the mother was attachment. Attachment becomes a problem with the father of gender. Gender becomes a problem with the peers and it becomes sexual. And then society gives him the good news that he is a member of the gay community. And that happens around 15, 17 years old. As I said last night, about 20 years ago, the vast majority of our clients at the clinic were late 20s, early 30s. Today, almost 50% are teenagers. And why? Because they're being told that you're gay and this is it. So the gay identity is a simple answer for a complex psychological problem.